Hello everyone, and now welcome to game number 2 in the series between Vortix and Grubby. Vortix spawning as the blue Zerg on the bottom left hand side of the map, meanwhile Grubby spawning as the red Protoss on the bottom right. PvZ, game 1 was a little bit of a crawler during the opening stages of the game, not much action, but really made up for it once the armies got to critical mass. Now, with this known, I wonder how Grubby is going to respond respond to Vortex's particular strategy. Vortex really just sat back, let his economic game do the speaking. There wasn't really that many early scrimmages at all, and not that many workers lost. And with that, because Zerg was able to power drone and had a license to drone during the early stages of the game, he was able to train up a lot of roaches and hydralisks and then just do an old school style push. 2 to 3 units on the field, Zerg, roaches, hydralisks, the fact that they were just never ending, always kept on coming in, was their main victory there. So far, Vortex now moving out across the field. With this, Overlord will quickly find what Grubby is doing here on the bottom right hand side of the map as game 2 is now underway. With all of this said and done so far, Grubby looks like he's going back to this very, very familiar strategy. He is getting up double assimilators this time. Never mind. He is going for double assimilators, and this most likely means he will be going for a much heavier harassment. Now, when Protoss players do go for that extra assimilator, it does delay their Nexus normally, and I'm wondering when Grubby will be placing down his expansion. The reason why I am wondering, well, he already took a rather late expansion in the original game. You can take a look at this here. He is sitting at 17/18 supply. He is warping in that additional pylon now. And when will we be seeing that Cybernetics core? There it is. I believe we saw the Nexus being warped in sometime around the 4-minute mark, or right before the 4-minute mark by Grubby. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Vortex, and Vortex is going for that hatchery already. You can see that he is placing down his extractor, just now finishing it. He did go for a pool before going for the hatchery, so he will have a queen to fend off and also helped do some injections. There is that Cybernetics core. Are we going to perhaps see some Chrono Boost onto that Cybernetics core there? There you have it. Chrono Boost instead on the Nexus, trying to get up a much stronger economy here, as the probe is already making its way down to the natural expansion here. And this is pretty much going to be a very similar timing to what we saw in the previous game. You can see the Nexus now coming in here. And what I am wondering about, though, is what the next building will be. Protoss players in general, this third building is the most critical building because it really dictates what the Protoss player is trying to do. If you see an additional gateway, you know that most likely there are going to be extra gateways somewhere else, trying to go for a much stronger gateway push. If you see a robotics facility, Twilight Council, or Stargate, that is pretty much a very linear line of what's going to be happening according to the next tech. Grubby opting for that Stargate here, most likely going to be Oracle, Phoenix, or Void Ray. I guess not most likely, definitely one of those three. And if it's one of those three, Grubby is now mulling over which one is the better choice. Phoenixes are fast, Oracle very good at a harassment, but with queens on the field and a very limited range on that Oracle, he may try to go for Phoenixes instead, and then also hoping to get some Overlord kills with those Phoenixes in the air. You can see now Zerglings running around the field for Vortex, looking for proxy pylons. Nothing of that nature just quite yet, as we are now just about to hit the 6-minute mark. And with that 6-minute mark, Zergling not going to even be able to make it inside. It is going to be Phoenixes. Phoenixes being chrono boosted out only take 25 seconds. Overlords better be on the run now, and this is going to be a problem for Grubby. Does he start to add these Phoenixes, or does he try to hide them? The reason why I am asking is Phoenixes in general are best when they are unscouted. Once your opponent knows that you have Phoenixes, most likely Vortex will just start to run Overlords back inside his base and also place down a Spore Crawler or two. You can see the Phoenixes are doing a bit of scouting now, and you can now also see another Zergling trying to make its way through, unable to do so, as the Phoenixes are still being added here. One Overlord will get shot down rather easily. Another Overlord shot down here on the other side of the map, and now Vortix may actually find himself a bit supply blocked. Zerglings now trying to make their way in. There is one lone Zealot there. This Overlord about to get taken down. It looks as though two Zerglings now making their way out across the field. All the Overlords are moving back home, trying to get back, as the Zerg player was able to get enough Overlords in time to not stay supply blocked for very long. Alright, Phoenixes now doing a little bit of scouting and flying. Gonna be backing off here. The Phoenixes, 3 of them in the air, have not really paid for themselves as of yet. The Phoenixes want to perhaps get a queen, and that is exactly what is happening. Oh, this Phoenix backing off. There you go, finding another better queen in a different position, and it looks as though the queen will get taken down, and there it goes there. Nicely played by Grubby, catching a queen off guard, as we now see there are a handful of spore crawlers all across the map. There you go. There was an Overlord who was able to make it back in time. There are 2 spore crawlers on the field, and every spore crawler trained is essentially a drone loss here. So Grubby actually probably likes what he sees. There was a handful of units lost there. Oh, it looks like a drone will get taken down. There it goes, as the Phoenixes could perhaps... Oh, there you can see some cancellations. Does not want to give up any additional units. So far, the Zerglings are now looking to back off. There is a handful of Zerglings on the field already, but we are already going into the third base for the Zerg, as more and more units will be popping out. There's a free Overlord that was able to escape ever so easily, and now going after some roaches. So far, Grubby is just maintaining map control because his opponent is pretty much giving it to him. Not quite sure why Vortix is just training up these units to walk out in the middle of the field, and roach after roach after roach is getting taken out. Yes, it is very, very energy inefficient, but then again, these Phoenixes would normally not be able to target anything at all. You can see a handful of units have been lost, 900 resources down, and Grubby has to like his chances in this game now, as the roaches are just constantly getting picked apart. We have not seen a lot of Hydralisk as of yet, as another roach now going to get taken down. I believe we still have enough for a graviton beam or 3, as Grubby is just enjoying his massive, massive slaughter of units in the field. 104 supply compared to 96. You can see that there are a handful, or there's 1 or 2 Overlords off in the corner, off over here. Meanwhile, still sitting 1 Overlord here by Vortix. You can see another Changeling quickly getting taken out, as the Protoss army quickly gets into Colossus. And once we get extended thermal lance range with 2 to 3 Colossi, I believe that's what Grubby is waiting for in his next attack. The Hydralisks have been added, and the Hydralisks are more of a reaction to the amount of Phoenixes we've seen. But with the Colossus now in play, I don't believe they're going to be that effective. Hydralisks in general, rather small units, meaning they do clump up together and take a lot of splash damage. You can see that the Colossus right over there able to do a fair amount of damage here, as we are already establishing up this third base. The problem for Grubby though was he did delay in getting this third base, perhaps focused too much on all of that Phoenix harassment, and with that delay, oh, let's see what's going to be happening here. It looks as though the queen is going to get taken down, and yes, it does get taken down there, but not before that Phoenix goes into critical hit points. 45 over 120 here, as the Phoenixes are still looking to perhaps fight and take down a handful of units that are out of position. Here's an Overseer. Observer, I believe the earlier Observer was taken out. You can see 2 Colossus with no more additional Colossus coming out. Instead, just 2 Colossus and now some Immortals as well. Production tab now showing perhaps more gateways, and gateway units going to be the center and focus for Grubby's army, as Grubby is still not pressing for an attack here. All right, 1 lone Zealot sitting at this door. Zerglings are not upgraded at all. We are going into 1-1 upgrades for those Hydralisk and those roaches. The Zerglings by default will get additional armor as well, but this is still not looking like both sides want to fight just quite yet. We're getting very close to the 14-minute mark, and that means that we are probably going to max out before we see a very large battle. Both sides wanting to get to that maximum supply and then start to engage. Zerg players in general are better at getting to 200 supply, but that does mean that there are going to be a lot of roaches here. All right, one drone taken down, another drone after drone after drone, all taken down rather quickly as the Phoenixes now decide to back off. Spore crawlers are in position. Worker kill count now up to 6 as we're looking at a massive battle here on the bottom side of the map. All right, Colossus cleaning up creep tumors. This is still rather dangerous though, but Grubby does have the fortunate of being able to run up onto this high ground here off of creep, hoping that the roaches and hydralisks will not be able to catch up to them once that movement speed is gone. Zerglings still sitting in position here. One zealot not wavering from his command post at all, as we're looking at perhaps some more Phoenixes doing a little bit of a flyby again. Proxy pylon quickly taken down. Hydralisks are finally upgraded to 1-1. We are now going into Vipers and Enduring Locusts, meaning Swarm Hosts will be coming out. Alright, Stalkers are right there. Where are the Stalkers? The Stalkers do not have Blink, but they do corral in a whole bunch of units. A beautiful pluck there as the Colossus now tries to get back. Alright, Time Warp perhaps going to be more useful in that battle there, as we can see the Photon Overcharge even joining in on the fight as well. This is not a good battle at all for Vortix to be in. Vortix has to be extremely careful. He lost a lot in this engagement, and with no more Colossus on the battlefield, though, he may try to press his advantage. There is still one Viper. The Viper is rather expensive, and because Grubby casts so many force fields and him not having a Colossus, he was unable to pursue. Alright, quick establishing of this 4th base here now. Grubby could try to perhaps place down another pylon and wall off with additional gateways once more. Very common strategy that we've seen as we are now going into the Protoss ground weapons level 3 upgrades. Level 2 upgrades coming in for the Zerg. I do not believe... No, we are at Hive Tech already. And with Hive Tech, 3-3 upgrades should be done. Or should be started momentarily. Enduring Locust, extremely effective as the Phoenixes now gonna back off. Now, there's a little bit of an argument whether or not Swarm Hosts are effective. And Swarm Hosts are effective in that it just reinforces the Zerg mentality. It is a never-ending swarm of units that if you do not deal with directly, just absolutely can and will overrun you. You can see that Vortix is now sitting on a very large supply or very large bank, and also has a supply advantage upside down right now on supply 200 over 194. High Templars are now also on the field as well. Psystorm not yet done being researched, but Grubby does hope to use Psystorm to great effect here. Grubby has really changed up his style as of late compared to other Protoss players, actually expanding towards his opponent. The Immortal is taking a lot of damage here, and the Psystorm is not yet ready. There you go. Where is the Psystorm now? Oh, there goes one High Templar, and the Stalker's now blinking forward. More units coming in to reinforce. You can see that the Guardian Shield still doing a lot of protection here, as the Guardian Shield finally does get taken down. Immortals trying to make their way over. Archons perhaps going to try to engage the Stalkers. Blink forward. And this is a huge, huge play by Grubby. Grubby has a larger army currently just because the majority of the army coming in from Vortix is now just being trained up. 12 Swarm Hosts, 21 Hydralisks. That is a very large army. And once that army is out on the field, Grubby will be forced to push back. Grubby needs to get into position and deal a lot of damage very, very quickly. Otherwise, this window of opportunity will close. There you go. And the Swarm Host Enduring Locust now on the field. Hydralisk now trying to battle it out. And this is just turning into a massive blood battle as the Locusts are now trying to pursue. Locusts exchanging against all of these Stalkers very, very easily. The Stalkers trying to blink back here. And yes, Grubby will be forced to retreat. Oh, pick up those High Templar. Nope. High Templar are fine for now. Alright. Vortix took a calculated risk knowing that he didn't have a favorable position. He lost a lot more in that battle, but with that superior bank was able to remax back up to 200 very easily. The problem now is that Grubby is already setting up on 4 bases with his last with a group of probes now making their way down over here as well. What does this mean? It means that his army is going to perhaps remax back up to 200, and unless Vortix is able to mass up a very large bank like he did earlier, he is not going to be in as good of a position. A small tactical force now comes in. You can see the Immortals are here, and the Immortals are just going to focus down Roaches rather quickly as we now see a slight engagement. All right, the Immortals trying to shoot down the hatchery. The hatchery may get taken down here. This is a bit of a hit and run, and yes, the hatchery does fall. It is now 3 mining bases to 3 mining bases, but the Enduring Locusts have pushed rather far up into this bottom right hand side of the map. Locust now engaging again. High Templar Psystorm being used on the Locust to try and take them down. It looks like all of them will get taken down here as we now see the next wave of attack coming in. All right, some feedback onto some of those units, and now more Psystorm coming in as well. Archons just getting absolutely melted here. I don't see any observers at all. As you can see, the Immortals trying to push their way through. Archon about to make its way in, and it looks as though the Enduring Locust is going to perhaps take down all of the hardened shields of the Immortal. All right, in comes another attack here. Zealots need to get into that front position. The Zealots do not have charge, but the Stalkers blink back, opening up the way. And that little small blink there, a beautiful move by Grubby to get into superior positioning. All right, another blink now coming in. The Archons now making their way forward as well. All right, all of those Vipers now taken down as the Stalkers, Immortals, and Archons now pulling back here again. All right, the expansion over here at the 11 o'clock position just now being completed. 13/24 supply once again as we're looking at more Colossus, Zealots, and Stalkers making their way in. It looks as though Grubby has started to find the tipping point of Vortix. Vortix is constantly trying to re-macro. And he has ended up losing a lot more units. Let's take a look at the resources. A 4,000 resource loss difference. The only thing that's keeping Vortix in this game is the superior economy of the Zerg so far, but he cannot constantly trade inefficiently. If you take a look, 82 probes versus 80 drones. Let's take a look at the overall army size. We are rather even. The real telling difference is that Grubby has been really choosing his battles and really microing a bit better. There is some Colossus yoinks there, but with 5 Colossus on the field, it doesn't matter. So much AoE damage as the Stalkers Colossus now finishing everything off. Also adding in that time warp really allows the Colossus, if need be, to pull back, and with all of those units being so much slower, they are not able to chase. The Colossus being yanked into battle, and Grubby may actually say thank you for that as the Colossus now gets into the battle and is able to attack without having to move. Observers still wandering around here, but this looks like this will be the end. The tipping point has been reached, and Grubby has been able to even up this series at 1 game apiece. There's the GG. Vortix losing game 2 here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 2. Please stay tuned for game 3.